Do you actually need a manager? I know with me, I've been doing music for a long time, and I always thought, nah, we can just do it independent. And then I had a manager, and then he was real crooked. And there's guys out there who are wondering, can we do it without a manager? Can we self-manage? And have you seen examples of successful self-managed groups, or what would you advise in terms of touring and getting your profile up?
I manage a band, and it's a hobby, and for me it's like I say to them, you focus on the music. That's the thing, like you potentially will run into some crooked people, and if you're not that way inclined, then it's probably not a bad idea. But like Tim said, if you can self-manage yourself, why wouldn't you? Because a manager's also going to take 20% of anything you make. So you cut out a manager, you're making that much more money when it comes to actually making some money. But I think management, when you're moving into, we've just made it in New Zealand. We've started to get songs. People are listening to us. Having management, I think, is it's not a bad idea. I don't think you can say either is good or bad. But management they're already a network in themselves. And there are some good managers out there and some honest people. And it's just and the thing is that if you get a manager, you're actually employing them. So if it doesn't work, you fire them. So it's not working, you're not the right person, see you later. So it's not like you're bound to them for the rest of your life and they're your boss. It's actually the other way around. But trial and error, I think you just need to ask around who's a good manager, who's not. You talk to them, they say, sorry, not interested.
Yeah, I think there's a point at which you have to have a serious conversation with yourself about how good you could be at doing this and how much time you have to put into it. Because managing a band can really sap your time, and it's lucky that nobody at my work is watching over my shoulder as I'm looking on Qantas for flights and trying to figure out car rental and stuff like this while I'm on the clock. So if you have that honest conversation, you can realize pretty quickly we do need somebody. We do need somebody to step in, and we'll get an arrangement with them. But we were self-managed. We had a manager for a little while, and we fired him because it didn't work out. But it was it was fine. There weren't any fist fights, and still friends, and yada yada yada. So it's just trial and error, and figuring out what are you good at and how much time do you have. If you realize I'm not going to be able to call up all these people, and I'm not going to be able to be the hard-nosed person on the night, and on the night I'm the front man and I want to have a good time, then pass it on, find somebody else. But it's a case-by-case thing.
It's also quite good to have a representative, someone who isn't in the band, to talk to someone and say, this band is da-da-da, rather than saying, my band is really good, it's done this. So it's good to have someone to talk on your behalf. And also with on tour and stuff, having a tour manager to sort out everything that isn't in the band is so much easier. Like when I work with Saving Grace, the whole band are just busy running around the whole night, and it's just good to have someone just to do all the work and to take care of everything. The band just plays and the tour manager does everything else, looks after everything to do with the tour. And it shouldn't be something they have to worry about. They should, concentrate on playing. So, band managers, tour managers are really good if you've kind of reached that level. You don't mind paying them.
So I think an example of where management helps is understanding how different things in the industry work. Like, okay guys, you've just played at the King's Arms. All your songs are listed with APRA. Now go and do a live return. And they're like, what? What does it mean? So every time you play in a venue, you're allowed. You can apply. The venue pays a license to APRA that you are eligible to get back, like a certain percentage or whatever it is. You might get $7 or something when you do your live return for playing 6 songs at the King's Arms. But over 2 years, you play 100 shows, it adds up. And that's that. Like management, when knowledge is power, and it will speed things up for you in some respects. But like Google, you can learn that stuff if you've got the time. So that's where management's helpful, understanding how all these little bits and pieces fit together.
If you're looking at management, you really got to sit back, ask yourself the questions: Where do we want to go? What's our plan? Can we actually handle the workload?
Yeah.
Do we have the time? And look at it that way. And that was quite a good point. That some of us may not realise, when you're a songwriter and you write a song and you get it all registered with APRA, you're the composer or you're producing it. Every time that live performance, every time you perform that song or someone performs your work, you're entitled to royalties off that. But you have to make sure that you're always, your manager or your team, you're always sending in your live return forms or registering online, so that eventually all those dollars will stack up.
I think the reality of it is you could take it as far as you want. You could say, okay, do we want a manager? Do we want an accountant? Do we want a tour manager? Do we want do we want a lawyer? Do we want a production manager? So you can take it as far as you want, or do as little as you want with it. Obviously, every time you put someone into the mix, you're paying more money. And I think if you're touring it, if you're just beginning to tour, you're not going to do that. But it's, you know, there's like, you look at the big picture and you think, oh, it's not rocket science, but there's actually a lot going on potentially. So it's up to you what you want to do and what you don't want to do, really. It's time. It's all really about time.